everybody. Gonna try to get this information out to you as quickly as possible, but there is a lot of information that has happened in the last 2 days that I have not been able to make a video. This was the most important article and set of news that I have collected since I made my last video. Okay, let's go over this. The CDC changes its criteria for patients to be tested for the novel coronavirus. Okay, this is from yesterday. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Robert Redfield said the agency has sent out new coronavirus testing guidance to healthcare workers on Thursday, after what might be the first U.S. case of community spread of the virus. Earlier in the outbreak, CDC guidance to doctors in the U.S. was that a patient had to have a travel history to China, among other criteria. But a patient at UC Davis Medical Center prompted the CDC to change its guidance. The patient that prompted the guidance change was transferred from another Northern California hospital last week. According to a letter from UC Davis Health, the patient did not fit the existing CDC criteria for COVID-19. A test was not immediately administered. After doctors persisted in their request for the test on Sunday, CDC went ahead with testing. On Wednesday, the CDC confirmed the patient tested positive for the coronavirus. That patient became the first U.S. case of unknown origin, according to the CDC. The patient didn't have any relevant travel history nor any exposure to another known patient. The patient may be the first U.S. case of community spread of the virus, officials said.
As the president said yesterday, we're ready. We're ready for anything.
Ready for anything, says Vice President Mike Pence, the president's newly appointed leader of the coronavirus task force. Welcome to Full Circle. I'm Anderson Cooper. This comes on a day when a new case in California is being called a turning point by the state's public health director because the patient has no travel history to areas with a coronavirus outbreak and no known exposure here in the U.S. to people with the coronavirus. Now, that being said, the number of cases in the U.S., 60, is still relatively low compared to a handful of countries outside of China where the coronavirus really seems to be spreading. And mainland China still has the vast majority of worldwide cases at nearly 78,500.
It's going to transmit just like any other upper respiratory infection. So a lot of transmission through droplets from people spitting, coughing, and that's why it's really important to wash your hands, which is what everybody's been saying, because people are going to catch these respiratory viruses through their mouth, their nose, their eyes. And when it comes to the mask, that's really only going to be to prevent you from spreading the disease, not necessarily from preventing you from catching it, if that made any sense.
That's interesting. So people were wearing masks thinking that it's going to protect them from getting it. It won't. Why? Because if there's droplets in the air or droplets that land on them, it could go in their eyes?
Well, not only could it go in their eyes, but the droplets themselves that contain the virus could be a lot smaller than what the masks are going to protect against. And on top of that, if you're wearing a mask, but you're not practicing any other precautions like washing your hands, you're putting yourself at risk. So again, the masks are really only for people who are already sick to prevent them from spreading the droplets. The case in California is kind of raising the right alarms. It's telling us that there's possibility for community-based transmission, meaning people are spreading the virus without actually any travel history or not even knowing where they got it from. And that doesn't sound like a good scenario.
As soon as that case was recognized, we met and we revised our case definition for persons under investigation, Redfield said. The guidance was updated on the CDC's website Thursday. Today, that has been posted along with a new health advisory that the recommendation should be when a clinician or individual suspects coronavirus, then we should be able to get a test for the coronavirus. at the beginning, you had to have been to that area or been in contact with somebody that had just been to that area. You know, Sally was in China, and now John was around Sally, so we need to look into John. And then also, Eric ran into John at the store, so now Eric also needs to be looked at. Okay? That was when the beginning of this all happened. Okay? So they still were trying to show that you had to have a direct link. Now, as they've continued to change all of the criteria over and over, changing the testing, changing how you can know yourself that you have it, and how the doctors are going to be able to know that you have it. They've continued to make all that so vague, and I've repeated that over and over again because that is the most important thing. They are making it so vague that they can now go up to anyone. They can go up to you at any time now and say, I think you have the coronavirus. We need to do a test on you. You need to come with us. Or you could go to your doctor for anything. And now they can say, we need to do a test on you right now. We need to see if you have the coronavirus. Okay? They have left it so wide open that now there is no possible way that you and I can say, I don't have it because I don't have any of these things you're talking about. Well, now when there is no symptoms, how do you prove that you don't have this? Some would say, oh, the test. No, the CDC is the one giving you the test. The CDC is the one that we already know is collecting the information and then relaying it to these hospitals and doctors throughout everywhere that this is happening. They continue to say that the CDC is in control of these results, and they're also in control of these tests, which they've continued to change the tests. They've continued to say that the tests were not 100% accurate. Everything they've done is to keep it vague, keep it wide open on who can have this sickness. Because then they can come in at any time and get you and I and take us away and put us in a quarantine for God knows how long, okay? All for nothing. You will not be able to show that you don't have this, okay? Now they have literally said that all of the symptoms are very, very small. They're just like the common cold. Everyone, that's what we've said from the beginning, that we know it is just a common cold. That's why the virus only gives away the symptoms that are just like the common cold. Now anyone can call. Say your neighbor hears you coughing, or hears your child coughing at school. Now they can call and say, hey, hold on a second. I'm really worried about my neighbor. Or I have a student here today and he was coughing. Can you please come check him to see if he has the coronavirus? You want to talk about instilling more fear? How much more fear can you have than that? Don't panic. Plans to tackle COVID-19 are already in place, county health officer says. You're damn right they're already in place. They've been in place for a long time. We are talking years. We are not talking, oh, they just got these preparations and we just put these plans in place. Oh, no. They've had all this planned. We know. They are going directly from their playbook, step by step. Now listen to this, okay? Despite the first transmission of the new coronavirus to a person in Solano County who hadn't recently traveled or been in contact with an infected person, government officials say there is little cause for panic. Really? Everything I see is pure panic, pure hysteria. Here's another article from the same lovely CNN site. Former top U.S. health official urges preparation for the coronavirus pandemic. Dr. Thomas Frieden, the former director of U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention told CNN's Wolf Blitzer today that he couldn't comment on a whistleblower in the Department of Health and Human Services who contends the HHS workers handled coronavirus evacuees from Wuhan, China without the proper protective gear until he reads the complaint. Instead, Frieden stressed what other top health officials have been saying for the past week, that the virus is going to spread in the U.S. The bigger picture here is it has become clear over the past few days that a pandemic is inevitable. What's not certain is how severe it will be. There are mild pandemics, moderate, and severe, Frieden said. Really? So you're telling me that they're saying there's no panic, that nobody should panic? And they're saying that the pandemic is inevitable? Sounds like they're contradicting themselves pretty bad to me. So what is it? Is it panic or no panic? Because it sure sounds like they are going back and forth. Protocols were developed in the past to address widespread outbreaks of the flu that can translate to planning for other viral respiratory infections, such as the new coronavirus, known as COVID-19, said County Health Officer Teresa Frankovich. Okay, that's the reason that they are saying that. Yeah, they had a plan, but of course it was just for the flu. It wasn't for this scenario that's happening right now. It's a progressive plan, Frankovich said, with different plans depending on whether there's 1, 100, or 1,000 people infected. For instance, you might initially just be encouraging everyone who's sick to stay home, do good hand washing, and other common preventative measures. If the illness proves to be more serious, you might move to additional measures such as closing schools for a certain period of time, Frankovich said. During a press conference Thursday morning, California Department of Public Health Director Sonia Angel said, so far it appears most people, more than 85%, will have mild or no symptoms. The most common symptoms of COVID-19 are fever, cough, and shortness of breath. Are you serious? Do you see what I've been saying? They can say anyone has it now. Thank you all for all of your prayers. Thank you all for your comments of support for my family and especially for my mom right now with what she's going through. I just want to make sure everybody knows how much that means to us. So thank you so much for that, and we will continue to cover this information, and no matter what, we will not stop. We will figure this out. We will continue to look into all these different areas to try to get this information out to enough people to where we may be able to open eyes enough to save them from getting vaccines or running to one of these places to get help from the government when this all happens, when we know there won't be any help there. Everybody, stay calm, do not panic, do not fear. That is how they are going to spread this, is by fear. Fear is very contagious, but so is faith and so is hope. We need to push faith and hope, and I hope it becomes contagious and everybody gets infected with faith and hope, because if we can do that, they don't stand a chance. Thank you all. We'll talk to you soon. God bless.